I'm here with my good friend Neddie Winters.
Yes, sir.
Neddie, good to be with you.
Good to be with you, Tom.
Mission, Mississippi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's me.
You are it. You're the face of it. You are all about bringing light and love everywhere you go.
You know, Mission, Mississippi want to bring people together that has things in common. Let me rephrase that and say, Mission, Mississippi want to bring Christians together because we have Christ in common. And we want to build around that rather than being divisive or finding a reason to separate or be divided. Mission, Mississippi is pushing Christians across the state of Mississippi to come together around Christ, under the umbrella of Christ. And so we want to encourage the body of Christ to extend grace to one another across the racial divide, across the racial line, across those things that typically divide us, that people in the communities throughout the state can see practical evidence of the gospel message. I told you, that's really what we want to do. And so we encourage the Christian community to come together. Even though we have different doctrines, as people would put it, or we worship different ways, or we believe different ways, but the common thing we have is Christ. And so we ask people to come together around that and change race relations in Mississippi. And we've been doing this for 22 years now.
Gosh.
And boy, we've made a big difference across this state and even across this nation. And some people say internationally, because the office have gone, as you know, to Liberia and other places in Africa a couple of times to be able to share what we're doing in Mississippi. Can you imagine that the world is interested in what's going on in Mississippi? The nation is interested in what's going on in Mississippi. I've been to Mobile and some other places a couple of times because people want to get a Mission Mississippi group going in those other states. And so we're excited that we believe this is Mission Mississippi's moment. You know, when Haley Barbour was elected, his theme was, "This is your moment, Mississippi." This is Mississippi's moment. We believe this is Mission Mississippi's moment to make a statement to Mississippi and to the nation. And so we're excited about the opportunity God has given us, the favor He's given us, the reputation He's given us to work with churches, corporations, businesses, and community organizations, such as what's going on here this week in Meridian.
Exactly. What happened in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, yes.
And God has taken that evil that happened and He's transforming it and bringing people together.
You know, I want to commend the folks in Charleston at Mother Emanuel. They reached out immediately and say, "We forgive you." Man, that's a great Christian response, isn't it?
That is.
Man, and when people see that, they think it's so amazing, man. But that's the standard for Christians.
That's right.
And I'm trying to help people to understand that the standard. You know, people congratulate me because I've been married 43 years, and they think that's so unusual. No, that's not an exception. That is the standard, man. And when people don't stay married, that's the exception. And so we have changed things in our society and our community. Mission Mississippi is pushing folks to respond from a biblical, not from a black perspective, not from a white perspective, not from a liberal or conservative, but from a biblical mandate where God has commanded us to love those that hate us, man, to do good to those who do evil to us, pray for those that persecute us. And so we have to really work at this thing from a Christian perspective to be sure that we respond. Not react, but respond from a Christian perspective. People say, "Well, Neddie, what's the difference between a Christian response and a Christian reaction?" You know, when you react to something, it's based on somebody else's action. When you respond to something, you know in your heart that you have the right purpose, the right thing in mind. Irrespective of what other people do, you're going to respond the right way. And so that's what we're getting people to do.
Man. Well, I know when I was in Madison, you had days where you have lunches together.
Yeah.
The two races would have lunches.
Yeah.
And
we're always pushing people to do things intentionally, to have breakfast together or have lunch together or just come together intentionally to build a respectful, trustful relationship. And so we're pushing folks to build relationships across those lines and be intentional about it. So we host prayer breakfasts twice a week in the metro area of Jackson. We even got a group now that's meeting in Madison County. We have what we call Mission Mississippi Madison County.
Okay.
And so they're meeting on a regular basis, praying together, getting to know one another. And so we have many opportunities to be intentional about building a relationship. And we don't believe that it's going to happen unless you be intentional about it. You got to be very intentional about it. Now, we work together, and there's some organic relationships established as some social events or sporting events or other things. Well, we believe if you're not very intentional about identifying somebody from the other race and building that relationship, it just won't happen. And you know what? People find they got more in common than they don't have in common. Right. And so if they spend a little time together, they find out about the next person's heart, where that heart is. And that's what we're trying to get people to come. We believe when the heart changes, symbols, icons, and issues change, and for the better when the heart is right. And so Mission Mississippi is pushing to do that. And when we find out we have that common journey, I call it a journey. Our life here on earth in Christ is a journey. And you can have the joy of the journey, or you can have all the other chaos of the journey. But we share our journey together through a heart transformation, through getting to know each other, hearing our stories, understanding our background and our culture. And we find so many places in that journey to celebrate rather than be adversarial in that journey. And so we're excited about the opportunity we have in Christ to share even more. And so we believe with Mission Mississippi, the next level for Mission Mississippi is that we're looking, how do we equip the next generation? I call it leadership next generation. You know, we're always equipping folks to move on in leadership through management skills, and we send them to school to equip them. We get them MBAs, all these other things, companies and churches and things, even send them to the seminary, do those things to equip them for the next generation. And so we're believing that Mission Mississippi role for the next generation is to equip them to pass on the skills and ability to deal with race. I don't believe race is going away. I think race is going to be with us through eternity, all right? And so we need to learn how to pass on to the next generation the skills and the know-how to do what we need to do, that we can move forward together and get beyond this racial issue, that everything is laced with racial. I call it a racialized society. And because we live in a racialized society, we see everything through the eyes of race. And so Mission Mississippi has the ability and the capacity. We know how to get people beyond that so they can work to filter that out and work through the racial issues and things. It's going to happen. I'm talking about, along with human beings, it's going to happen. So how do you deal with it in a positive, what I call a godly and productive way, so we can move positively together in a positive way?
Yeah. Well, you're doing it, and you're modeling it for many of us.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Thank you,
I really
Neddie.
appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah,
Thank
Neddie.
you. Thank you.
And we'll see you hopefully in Jackson coming up pretty soon.
Absolutely.
Good. Thank you.
All right.